work session. We are attempting to set the agenda for the regular council meeting of April 23rd, 2015. Janet, if we could have the roll call, please.
Mayor Lane.
Here.
Councilmember Gravett.
Here.
Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Manning.
Here.
Councilmember Stoll.
Here.
City Manager Hyde.
Here.
City Attorney Joe.
Here.
Under old business, item A, potentially before us on second and final reading, would be ordinance number 986. And this is in regard to the rezoning case that we will have on the agenda for first reading tonight. We'll also have a public hearing for that at our 6:30 regular council meeting. Do you have any comments, questions? As I said a minute ago, I'm sure we will have plenty of discussion in a regular meeting about it, or at least plenty of opportunity for discussion. Okay, we'll move on to item B, ordinance number 987. And this also would be before us potentially for second and final reading. Either Mr. Hyde or Mr. Jablonski, either one of you provide a little detail.
Mayor, thank you. The city staff plans to present a budget amendment on first reading this evening for the council's consideration. Most of these items, in fact, each of these follow from requests made at the last meeting, the last two meetings, as well as the insurance fix. I think we've discussed month after month, the last few months, that after the first half of the year, our insurance came in and it was a little bit higher due to claims that came in last year. That usually lags by about a year, so we've adjusted that in general government. And then there were a few other items the council had discussed, moving the sale of the pool property to the capital improvement fund, equipment purchased, so the excavator in the state street aid fund, and then the thermal imaging camera for the fire department, as well as a grant. So it's just a matter of ensuring that we're spending in accordance with the budget as appropriate.
All right, do we have any comments, questions on that? All right, item C, discussion of purchasing portable radios from the state contract listing.
Mayor, again, the council had requested when we discussed spending the remainder of the band funds, that the city solicit bids and come back and present those to the city council. Staff suggests that we do that next month once we have all of the information that the city will need at that point, which includes the closing costs on the future fire station property on the other side of the interstate, as well as bids that have come in. And then we still have one more that waiting to come in, that's the police radios. So those are a little bit different than the fire radios. So those should be in next week, and we'll present those in the next meeting with the council's information.
I got a question. You mentioned taking out band money like we did. Okay, when the band money was borrowed back in 2009, 2007, what was the resolution wrote up for? Because I wasn't here and I wasn't on the phone, but I'm kind of inquiring about it and on how the money was to be spent.
As I recollect, it was pretty broad. We could use it for a number of different purposes, and capital improvements, and like I said, it was
References
deliberately.
for parks and recreation, streets, public works, and other improvements they were in, if I recall.
Right.
Off the top of my
Parks
head,
and
I don't
Rec
have the
obviously was
resolution in
bigger
front of
because
me.
the primary motive for getting the money to begin with was to replace the lights.
There was a whole sentence for parks, but then everything
Well,
else
I
was.
was supposed to be spending the park, but then I didn't know about the rest of it being in the resolution, so that's what I was asking.
And I would say, Councilman Gill, I think it was written that way in order to provide the city with as much flexibility as possible. In talking to Linda Moody,
We had that discussion of, they were going to put a big flag and monument down on the state line, kind of, about 400,000 on that. I just thought that, there's a lot of different things.
D, discussion of bids for air packs.
Mayor, this is the same, we would present this at the next meeting with the council's permission and blessing, and again, just looking to present options for spending down band funds.
Okay, moving on to new business, discussion of the paving bid process, item A.
Mayor, council, what I've done in past situations, past cities I've been in is on paving, instead of going out and asking for a bid on a mile of road or on a mile and 3/4 of road or a certain amount of roads, we put a bid package together asking for a price per foot or yard or whatever on asphalt, and then it was easier to plug that into as we went forward. It was easier to calculate what our cost would be, and that, we're gonna bring that and get permission, hopefully to go for that kind of bid. It's like buying gravel or sand or anything else. You can do your asphalt that way for your paving as well, and sometimes that's just easier for us. Instead of every project we might come up with, have to do a bid package, we do one that would kind of really blanket over every road we decided to pave for a whole year, for the calendar year, that we would have to put in the bid.
Comments or questions on that? Okay, item B, discussion of special gathering permit ordinance.
Chief Reed asked that we bring this forward. We had an issue the other night, within the last couple of weeks or something of that nature. We had a rather large gathering and it caused some issues. And so I'll let Chief Reed speak to this. The city attorney's aware of this as well and has looked at this ordinance.
Well, we've had two incidents that occurred in the city of East Ridge. One was at a motel, a large gathering that turned into quite a bit of chaos. The other one was the other night up around Germantown and Greenville Road. We had about 250 people in a building that's obviously nowhere near that size. A fire broke out on a vehicle that wound up being stolen out of Chattanooga, and inside that vehicle was 2 firearms. Later on that night, Chief Williams can tell you the locations, but there were 2 other related fires in the city of Chattanooga that was probably stemmed from this due to the fact of the congregation. But looking at the possibilities of having a special gathering permit ordinance would be that not only could codes, fire, or police, anyone from those 3 areas walk in and if they're in violation of that permit, shut that place down immediately and take action, whether it be the police department, fire department, or codes. I submitted something similar to what the city of Chattanooga passed, based on some of the problems that they were having. Some of the problems they had resulted in shootings, gang-related activities, and so forth.
The city of East Ridge has an ordinance in place at this time. If we had enforced this ordinance when this was brought to our attention, we wouldn't have had this issue to begin with. If the owner of the property had known that this was not going to be a birthday party, there was going to be a lot more people there than what he expected, we have ordinances in place for that. And we would have not allowed it altogether. I'm afraid if we issue these special permits, they're going to take advantage of the special permit, okay? The ones we feel like we can okay with, we can go ahead and do that permit, fine, I don't have no trouble. Then the next group comes in, and they want the same permit, and we say, no, you can't do it. My concern is, then they come back and say, well, how come you allow them to do it, but you wouldn't allow us to do it? We've got ordinances in place now, the city does, against this. And if we'd have been notified, we could have went out, fire official could have went out and stopped this and ceased it, and everybody could have went out then. What we did, went back, we done a head count. And we started doing head count, allowed something in there for the square footage of the area, and it was stopped it. We didn't know about it.
So, if I may, if we already have an ordinance in place, what do we need to?
What we do is we have an ordinance in place for
create
it.
another one?
The business was not zoned for that, for the public gathering of that nature.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have that to begin with in that place. You know, that's my concern.
So are you saying if we pass another ordinance, we're
If we pass another-
it'll just be a duplicate?
I think we ought to enforce the ordinance that we have in place.
Okay. Well, just out of curiosity, what are the numbers? What
The number would be the square footage of this building. And if you're looking at it, tops, 99 people, okay? If we'd have went up there with a counter, seen that there was more than that, there was too many folks there, put everybody outside and went through with a counter and said, this is how many you can allow in here for this party. And that's it. And stop it. Rest of it, send them on the way. And we wouldn't, I don't think we'd have this issue. We've had this issue at other motels, and we've had large gathering auditorium areas where they've had big parties show up. We do the same thing, go down there, start doing a counter, put them outside, and only allow so many to go in, and everything's safe.
You were saying you wasn't notified. What do you mean by that?
The business owner, anytime an owner of a property has any type of party or any type of gathering like this, if he expects it's going to be large like this, he should come to the city and let the city know about it, okay? His business was not zoned for this type of public gathering.
What kind of business?
You have, all right, a motel, I'm sorry, one of our old motels down on Maximus Road had a convention center in it. That's zoned for that. The movie theater, that is zoned for that. Public gathering places where you have a lot of people gather for one event. Your auditoriums or anything like that, they all fall in that category. This business is not zoned for that to begin with. It should not let have been.
Sounds like to me, maybe we just need to try to get the word out to the citizens that.
Well, and we have, with this business owner, we have sent him a letter and advised him of the situation,
Oh.
give him the information on it. And if this happens again, he will be held in liability for it. Yeah.
That particular.
My personal opinion, I don't think we need to, Chattanooga uses this, and what this is it allows some people and some people it don't. I don't like that. I think we need to make something for everybody. If everybody can abide by it, then that's fine. If we allow some people to do it, and you don't allow some people to do it, then I feel like that gets into litigation.
And that building for the last year been used as a church, so is that considered a public gathering?
If it was allowed to use as a church, we were not aware of it.
I mean,
And churches do fall under different structure taxes.
across the top of the building, so.
Well, the churches do fall under,
Every day, so-
and churches do fall under.
Chief Reed was.
Yeah, it was a church. I don't know when it became active as a church, and I don't know when it became deactive as a church. And then there was some construction on that corner, which removed, I'm not sure how much square footage of that building. Chief Williams may know that.
It was two separate buildings, or two separate businesses. The business that they tore down, the building they tore down, did not have access into the property that we had the problem with. What they used to be was a music store downstairs. Had a large area downstairs, and that's where this party went on.
Even if someone puts a sign over it that says it's a church, number one, was it zoned for a church? Did they change the zoning? Number two, how was it classified at the tax assessor's office?
And it's not zoned.
If it wasn't classified as a church at the tax assessor's office, it's not.
It's not.
Part of
It
the
was not
building,
zoned for a public gathering place.
part of the building is, assessed as residential, and part of it is, commercial.
And I've got
The
issues
gentleman
with
that
that.
lives upstairs is Don Husky. We've had that discussion. I know it's been a church for a year or so, because he's complained about the parking.
And Don Husky's property is the property that is adjacent to this property.
Right, his son-in-law's the one that was there.
And when he rented this, he rented it with the intention of it was going to be a small birthday party. That birthday party turned into a dance party. That turned into 250 people coming out there, causing havoc, setting a car on fire. Like Chief Reed said, there were 2 guns found in the car.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind,
Sure.
go ahead. Why don't we let these two individuals, these two chiefs, they're over the public safety for the city. Let's let them get together with the city manager and the city attorney and figure something out. Rather than us, trying to cipher it out and question who knew what at the time and, here. Let's just try to just fix it.
I would just like to see maybe I'm not sure what all Chief Williams has in the codes and what have you, but if we can add a little more bite to it to give us a little more strength both sides, that's what my goal is, because I keep remembering the old video that the fire department always showed us about capacities inside buildings and a fire breakout, and you've got people wedged in the doors that can't get out, people behind them.
That's our number one concern. With this business, it not being zoned for the public assembly, the egress is not large enough, the type of party that's going on the inside, what they have on the inside, we can't control it if we don't know about it and stuff like that. You know, who's to say, they may have some type of pyrotechnics, and then we run into the same situation we had in Rhode Island Nightclub. You know, when we had 300 and something people there. You know, we do not want to be on the news for that.
I do agree with what Chief Reed says. It seems to me, you know, whatever it is that winds up being our ordinance, if we end up amending the current ordinance or doing whatever, I do think it needs to have some teeth to it. Yes, you know, where if this fella up here has done it once, excuse me, how do we keep him from doing it again?
And it's not so much Mayor, the owner of the property, because it's really truly not his fault, this circumstance. It really isn't. It was a sublease. He leased it to someone, they subleased it to another man. That's where the problem, you know, come in.
Right, and I understand that. You know, at some point, I think it has to fall back on the property owner in some respect. That, you know, he has to be responsible for his his building and what goes on there. Now, granted, you know, in this case, it was someone who had leased the building from him, but we can't allow it to become a habit. That's for sure. And I appreciate you all bringing it to our attention. And I would echo what Mr. Gravett said, that I would fully support you all getting your heads together and coming up with something that would be best for us.
Have y'all looked at the chatting ordinance? Both of y'all?
I sent a copy over.
Because I'm not sure we covered the situation that should be talked about. What that was enacted to do was prevent these, what I call renegade nightclubs that come in and charging a cover charge and that kind of thing. Where we're all going all night, disturbing the neighborhood, and source of violence themselves. But yeah, if y'all can take a look at that, and the four of us can get together.
Thank you, Mr. All right, anything else on that? Okay, item C, preliminary fiscal year 2016 budget presentation.
Yes, Mayor, it's time again to put some numbers before you, and that, and have some preliminary numbers. In a couple of weeks, he's already been working on it diligently for the last 6 or 8 weeks, and we're getting close to having something from that.
Mayor and council, this will be a preliminary presentation of where we're at. Obviously, end of March, 3/4 of the year behind us, and discuss where we're at, where we expect we'll be at the end of the fiscal year, and discuss capital improvements as well, and updated 3-year plans.
All right, excellent. Item D, evaluation of the city manager.
Mayor, council, about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, we evaluated the city manager. After 6 months, it's been a year. My contract was extended in November to go through until June 30th of this year, and for budget purposes, that has to be revisited. I didn't know if the council, I've got some evaluation forms here, if the council wanted to follow suit this year and evaluate, I would welcome the evaluation. I think that gives us an opportunity to see, what your plan and your vision are, and see how we've done in the past, if you want to continue on that line. It's up to the council, but I've got the information here, should you choose to do that. What I would ask is that we have this back on the 20th, so we can have it available for discussion if needed on the 23rd.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I feel like I could get that done in 10 days.
I think Jack is probably the only one handcuffed a little bit, but I believe, there is some information on here that we've heard of the exposure he's had as well.
All right. Mr. Sewell?
Nothing this morning.
Mr. Gable?
I'd like to request a line item expenditure before our budget thing, we go over, department to department.
I have a account level for department level. Certainly get you copies.
Do you have anything else?
No, I just,
Mr. Bradley?
Nothing until the regular meeting.
Have anything either? Okay. Sounds good. All right, we will adjourn this work session